Yes, Spring Guns sounds a lot cooler than Springans. What's up, guys? Abe here, and today we have a Springans deck profile. This is probably one of those archetypes that get lost in all the sets, or when it comes to core sets and whatnot. Because it is a more casual deck. I'm not sure if this is the TCG exclusive, but definitely, like, the good thing about this deck is cheap, because a lot of them are just commons or supers. And then if you just want to put money into it, that's just going to be on you. But it has its own little cheese with this deck, because you can summon Xyz from the deck, albeit they're not summoned properly, but then you can always try to dodge effects and all that stuff with the Xyz. So they have their own little gimmick. Hopefully they do come out with more cards in the future, maybe some more Xyz that can hopefully help maybe push for a game and things like that. So this deck still needs a couple more things. Maybe not the spell so much, but there's another Xyz that can like I said, attack or something, do some kind of cool attack stuff or anything like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into this Springans deck profile. So for the monsters, we're going to start off with triple Springans Rocky. So this is going to be... So the thing with Spring is that there's no, out of the monsters, there's no search. Ones if it's no more special, you get to search. But the thing with the Springans that they all have is that from hand, field, or grave, you could attach it to a Springans Xyz you control as material. Now, the Springans don't have... Well, at least when it comes to Merrymaker, it doesn't have a quick effect, in detach. But it does have its quick effect where if it's, leaves the field by a card effect, you get to send one and blah, blah. But with the Springans, with the main deck monsters, you want to attach it to the Xyz monsters as much as you can. You don't have to attach everything, but just as much as you can. But when it comes to Rocky is you can target your field spell, the Great Saiyan Gold Golgonda, or a Springans monster in your grave, and you get to add it back to your hand. So this is a good recursion. Probably you don't want to see this first. You can see it first turn, but usually you want to kind of set this up for second turn, so that way you can kind of just have a follow up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So inherently the main deck monsters don't have a searcher. Usually you're going to be sending a lot of stuff to grave or anything like that. And then you could just start attaching it to your Xyz monsters as material. For the next card, we played triple Springans Brothers. So this is a new one from Lightning Overdrive. This one's pretty good because if it's sent from hand or deck to the graveyard, you get to target a Springans monster, special summon in defense. So usually you're not going to try to have your Xyz in the grave unless you summon them properly or something like that. But usually you're going to use Brothers to summon out your Captain Sargus or your Rocky or Branda if you need defense. Whatever you need Brothers to be, it's going to be your reborn for the deck. So Brothers is really good. And like I said, it has the effect where it can attach itself to material almost from basically anywhere onto Springans Xyz. For the next card, we play triple Branda, or Branga, whatever you want to call it. So this one is, if it's in the grave, you banish another Springans monster with a different name. It has to be a different name. And then you get to search a Springans card from your deck to your hand. So you get to search out the Watch. If you need a Springans monster, you can't search out the Golgonda, which sucks, but you already have a lot of ways to get to the Golgonda, and as long as you're able to get to the Golgonda, that's when you can start doing stuff. But it is what it is. But Bronga is really good because it can search out a card. So like I said, you usually want to go for the watch, because when you have watch, and although watch can search the Golgonda, if you already have Golgonda with the watch, it's just better because you can send and you search. So I mean, we'll get to that card when we get to it. But yeah, but Bronga can search you out the watch, which is a good thing. And it's something usually is pretty easy to set that up first turn, if you have the right cards in hand. For the next card, we play one Sargus. I decided just to play one of, just because usually if you're gonna be like summoning back stuff from like with brothers, it has to be in defense. So I wish Sargus kind of had like its stats flip, like if it was a 2800 attacker and a 15 defense, then it'd be cool because you can have it all on the field and stuff. But because he doesn't have like a other effect, his on-field effect is you can detach a material from a Springans Exceed and target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. So it becomes like your Trident for the deck, sort of. And also if he is under a material of a Springans Exceed, it gives a 500 attack. So, but yeah, but other than that, when it comes to Sargus, I don't want to run more of him. I know Bronga can be somewhat of a dead card if it's in your hand, but at least you can send it to the grave. Like, you could pitch it for your Golgonda, and then if you have another Springans monster in your grave, you could banish it and search something. Sargus, it doesn't have any, recurability or whatever, and so that's why I decided to play the one of. Also because, like I said, its stats, it's a booty, but it doesn't have a lot of attack. So Bronga can already be your booty for the deck. And Sargus obviously has a bigger booty than Bronga, but other than that, you just want one, because more than one Sargus, I feel, is not going to help out. So it just depends which you want to play. I've seen a lot of people play 2, 3, but I feel like once you set it up once, and like I said, you can always recur back with like brothers and like stuff like that. So yeah, because your opponent's gonna probably want to banish other stuff compared to the Sargus, because I don't think they're gonna think Sargus as a threat. That's just my view on it. So everything's just up to personal preference, obviously. For the next card, we played Double Pidor. So this one is, so this is also like another Monster Reborn, but you have to tribute it on the field, and you summon back one from the grave. Now this one doesn't have to be in defense, which is a good thing. But we just play the 2 of, just because you don't want to see it in your opening hand. You kind of want to, maybe search it for later, because because sometimes you can like loop special summons a lot, not a lot, but a couple during the turn. And if you're gonna use your normal summon, you might as well use Pidor for your normal summon for later. That way you can, if you really need a level 8 or level 4, you need a recursion back with Rocky or whatever it is. Pidor can help you reborn. And like I said, if you need another level 8 or level 4, whatever it is in the grave, or like, you want to resolve Rocky's effect, whatever it is, Pidor helps out with that. So that's why we only play 2 of in the deck. For the next card, now this is not a Springans card, so you can't really search this out too much. But this is why it's just a one of. He's a beater in the deck, I guess, because as long as it's on the field, while Golgonda's on the field, its original type becomes 3000. And while this card's in the hand or graveyard, if you control a face-up card in your field zone, you can spell summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then if Great Sea Golganda on the field will be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish one monster from your graveyard instead. Whatever it is. So if like we play Ash, we play Gamma. If you have them dead in the grave, you can just banish them. And that way you can protect your Golganda. Because your Golganda is going to be your way to summon Exceeds without having to actually overlay. So it's a good little protection. It's a level 8 as well. So if you summon back with like brothers, like you summon back a Bronga, and then you summon this guy, you can go into your other level or your other rank 8s in the deck if you need to. Or you can somehow have the Explorer, properly if you really want to do that. But yeah, just other than that, just more of a beat stick and just something to summon at least. Because you're not gonna have too many beers in the deck, so that's why we play this. For hand traps, we're going to play your generic stuff, triple Ash, because Ash is Ash. For the next one we play is the Gammas, or the Gamma package, triple Gamma, one driver. Obviously we're going to be resolving a lot of stuff without monsters on field, especially when it comes to Golganda, because we want to summon from our extra deck. Or we need to resolve something with brothers, like, we need to bring back something on the field or whatever it is, especially if our board's clear. And yeah, again, which is great just to help do all that stuff. And also, like I said, when it comes to like watch and like booty, we activate booty so that we can activate one from the deck, a Golganda. This hopefully your opponent's gonna Ash that, obviously. You have Gamma to hopefully stop that. So yeah, that's it for the monster lineup. For spells, obviously the main one is gonna be your Great Sancy Golganda. So all Springans XC monsters gain 1,000. So it makes your Merrymaker 21, and it makes your X-Blower 26, or is it 20? I forgot the attack of the damn Explorer. Oh, it'll be 26 because it's 1600. So yeah, Golganda is going to be your main way to get your Springans XCs out. Usually first turn you want to go into Merrymaker, or if usually I recommend going second, because you're not going to set like too many negates and stuff like that. So I recommend going second, so that way to at least set up boards, a Merrymaker with like a Sargus, or an X-Boar with a Sargus, whatever you need to do at that point. So Golganda just helps with that, because you discard Springans card and you summon one from the extra deck. And then if a face-up XE monster you control leaves the field by card effect, except during damage step, you can target one monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack for the rest of its turn. So the Merrymaker and the Explorer have effects that can banish themselves till the end phase. So that way, if you do use that effect, and they're gonna try to attack you, you can target one of their monsters on the field. Then they cannot attack, so that way you don't die. Because you're gonna be leaving your board open, and like I said, hopefully you don't get with the kid at that point. So it's a great card, and with the new card booty, it helps get it from the grave as well. Well, we'll get there too when we get there. Probably one of the best cards in the deck is the Watch. If you don't control the Great Sancy Golganda, you search for the Golganda, and if you already have it on the field, you get to send a Springans monster from deck to grave, and then you add one from your deck to your hand. So this card is busted when you have the Gold Sea Golganda, because it sends one and it adds one, and with all the Springans monsters, you could attach them to the Exceed, really from hand, deck, or not hand, deck, hand, field, or graveyard. So it just sets up to at least have your Springans monster with some material at least, if you're able to go for the play. So that card is really great. Triple Booty, because booty is a way to get to the Golganda, because it can extend it. You activate one from deck or grave, and even if they do pop it, your opponent pops it, you have another one, or following turn you can activate another one and maybe get it back from your grave. So that's the great thing about booty, is that it goes from deck or grave. So in case you do draw two Golganda and a booty, you can at least activate one, and then you have the booty out there, and then So it just sucks, because like I said, there's a lot of ways to get to the field spell, and sometimes there are those times where you do open double Golganda, or one Golganda, one booty. So you're like, oh man, I wish that was something else. But nonetheless, booty's still a good card, because like I said, it gets to your gold Golganda as fast as possible. And then the other effect is, while it's face up on the field, if a face up XC monster you control leaves the field by card effect, which the Merrymaker and the Springans do. And also your other XCs that you play, they will get destroyed or whatever. Neither player can activate that effect monster's effects on the field this turn, or target an effect monster your opponent controls the play can activate that the effects of the monster. So that's great for like, you know, monsters that have like, you know, like a once per turn effects and things like that. Because that way, you know, it doesn't dodge like timing or whatever when it comes to rulings. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh is a hard game. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, but just in case, like if they summon something and you're like, oh, that's gonna be a problem, and you want to tag out your Merrymaker, your Explorer, you can do that, and that way your opponent can activate that monster's effects. So yeah, so Booty is a good card. Who doesn't like Booty? For your one-ofs, one Terraforming, Foolish Burial, Upstart, Feather Duster, Called By, Monster Reborn, and Xyz Import. So I know it's a lot of one-ofs. If you don't like some of these one-ofs, you can always switch out for more hand traps, whatever it is you want it to be. I just, you know, sometimes some of these cards can help, especially when you're going second. Harpy Feather Duster can help because you don't want to go against a bunch of back row. Terraforming, obviously, Gold Golgonda, you want that card. Foolish is good because it sends whatever, and then, you know, you could send a Brothers, and you'll be able to get its effect because it's sent from hand or deck. This card is sent from hand or deck to the graveyard. Could target Springans monster, express something, in defense. So yeah, so Foolish is great. Upstart, life points, whatever. Hopefully you can, you know, keep burning or keep, you know, poking your opponent, and hopefully that extra card helps. Feather Duster already talked about. Called By, just because you want your searches to get off or to go off. Monster Reborn, just because it's a top deck. And Xyz Import, it's a card I'm trying just because, you know, if somehow they do stop the effect of like adding the monster to the Springans Exceed, it can be used as a disruption. If you don't if let's say you don't have, because with like Merrymaker is the main one you usually want to go into. If you can't put two monsters on it, its second effect where you get to send a Fallen Nova Baz like fusion or whatever, you won't be able to resolve that. So import is good just to add another material and just as a disruption against your opponent, especially with the Golgonda out. Merrymaker becomes 2100, so you know, with Xyz Import, it's gonna basically swallow up a lot of monsters, whatever monster your opponent controls. Most, not everything, but you know what I mean. Like mostly, they're gonna start with with whatever starter cards, monster cards they start off with. If you really want to get off the field or a link, like a starter link or something against your opponent, Xyz Import is great to just take that monster, and they won't be able to use it for whatever your opponent needs to use it for. So it's just a little tech you can play in there if you like. And then for the traps, I only play 4 traps. This is probably like a flex spot. So we play triple Storm Meteor Force. The only reason why I'm putting this card in this deck is because like when it comes to the Springans, they're going to tag themselves out, and you're not going to have monsters on the field unless you have like a Sargus or Bronga or something on the field. And you just don't want to be wide open. And this kind of is just a way just to hopefully, obviously if your opponent pops it, they pop it. But if your opponent goes off or whatever, and then they're like, okay, attack, and then you flip this, and they don't have a response, then they kind of lose their field. Obviously, you can switch this out for Nibiru, because Nibiru can, basically do the same thing, get rid of your opponent's board. But if they do set up that monster negate to stop the Nibiru, then you're kind of asked that at that point. So I decided just to throw in Storm and Mirror Force just as a way to protect myself from not getting OTK'd. But obviously, if they do get that Omni Negate that can stop a trap, then that kind of sucks. But most of the time, your opponent was not gonna see it coming. And then for the last card, one Springans Blast. So if you control a Springans monster, choose an opponent's main monster zone. If a monster is face up in that zone during this turn, it cannot attack directly. Also, its effects are negated. And then if no monster is in that zone, your opponent cannot use that zone. And then if you control a fusion monster that lives fallen of a battle's material, you can choose 2 zones instead. We're not going to be able to choose 2 because we're not going to fusion in this deck. But the fact that it doesn't target the monster, it just whatever's in that zone is great. Obviously, I've seen a lot of videos where people are like, oh, you know, stop Dragoons and things like that. Obviously, you can stop that or whatever you need to be. And obviously, if there's nothing in a certain zone, like especially if you know what your opponent's playing, you can, like, you know, hopefully strategically pick a zone. And even if there is no monster there, if you know they're gonna use that zone for like whatever play they're gonna be using when it comes to placement and stuff, it could probably hinder your opponent and they can't be able to do their play. So it's just a very, you know, kind of mind gamey kind of effect that even if there is no monster in there, they can't use that zone, and then your opponent's kind of like, oh, maybe I do kind of need that zone. Especially if you have like one of your own monsters in the extra monster zone. So that way, like I said, it's all mind games, you know. But yeah, so it's Blast. It's a good card. Just play the one of. Obviously, probably when the point this video comes out, Dawn of Majesty would come out the next. It's gonna probably come out next week by the time this video comes out. So there is a new card in there as well. I think it's called Springans Interlude, something like that. That card is also good, but that's probably more like a one of I would play, because you can, you know, you can like either negate an opponent's monster effect, or no, I think it's a card or effect, so it could be anything, or I forgot what the other effect is, but the main part is that it negates something. So that's a good trap you can play in the deck as well. For me, I would probably only play 1, max 2. Just because other than that effect, it doesn't really have much of use. So whenever this video comes out, Dawn of Majesty will probably come the week after. So yeah, so if you are thinking about adding the new Springans card, I would just suggest maybe just 1, max 2. Just because, you know, it's a trap, which kind of sucks that it's a trap, so you have to wait to activate it to do something. So yeah, so that's just my little thing when it comes to the new card in Dawn of Majesty. Alright guys, now let's go on to the extra deck. So, for starters, we're going to start with the double Merrymaker. Can play 3 if you want. I think 2's enough, just because usually you're going to just want to use your first turn just to start bullishing stuff and whatnot. And then hopefully you can resolve the effect of sending the sprint to then summon during the end phase. But yeah, Merrymaker is just it's a good card. It's a good way to foolish, and it's like a good way to get Brothers in the Grave and Brongo and all that stuff. Yeah, Merrymaker is a good addition to the deck. For the next card we play, Double Explorer. So this card, let me just read just because a good amount of text. You can choose one of your opponent's monster zones or spell and trap zones to attach any number of materials from this card. And if you do, destroy the same number of cards your opponent controls in that chosen zone and its adjacent monster zones and or spell and trap zones. During your opponent's main or battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase. So you can only use each effect once per turn. So, so it can, like if you pick like the zone behind or underneath the extra monster zone, it can blow up anything in a plus, like a plus sign, whatever you want to call it. If you were to pick like their back spell and trap zone, then it can only be the 2 on the side or the 1 on top of it. If like so you're picking the middle spell and trap zone, whatever it's called. I know there's names for them, but I just don't know them. But yeah, Explorer is just a good card. Depending how many materials you have on it, that's how many cards you can blow up. So if you only detach 1, you can only blow up the 1 card, the 1 zone you pick. But let's say you have 2 or 3, then you blow up that 1 zone, and then you can pick whichever ones from there. So like you can always pick, like let's say you pick the middle, the middle zone, the one that the link pointer like this on the extra monster zone. It's like the middle zone. you can only pick the 2 on the side, but let's say it's the zone underneath the extra monster zone on their side. Let's say you have your extra monster zone on your right and they have it on your left, then they can pop something on. Then you can pop something in the extra monster zone or below it in the spell and trap zone, or if they have 2 other monsters in that zone. Hopefully they don't have nightmares connected to it. But yeah, Explorer is just a good way just to blow up some stuff. No pun intended. And yeah, I wish it had more attack because, you know, with the Golgonda it gives it 1,000, so it's only 26 for, you know, a rank 8. But, you know, it is what it is. You put Sargus on it, it can be a 31. I guess that helps, but usually you don't want to put... I don't want to say you don't want to put Sargus underneath it, but, you know, Sargus is better outside because then you could, you know, quick effect pop something. So it just depends how the game's going. But I wish Explorer had just a little bit more attack. It'd be a little bit better. Just so it can run over stuff. For your generic stuff, we're going to play Yugioh and X because the deck is machine type. 1 Redoer because Redoer can be really annoying, and since we have access to level 4 really easily, Redoer is just a good way just to get rid of some of your opponent's cards. 1 Dugaris, so there's just more just like if you need to get over something, or you need to summon something from the grave, or you need to draw, whatever you need, Dugaris helps with that. So yeah, so that's why I play that. Since we are playing up level 4s, I just put the Utopia package just so you can get over stuff in battle. So yeah, in case you can't destroy stuff, Utopia the Lightning is there. 1 Vespanado, just because like if you have your Merrymaker come back, the Golgonda says that you have to control no Springans exceed. So the Merrymaker, you know, once you have the Merrymaker, if you want to make Explorer or something, Explorer or make another Merrymaker, then you would have to get rid of it or overlay on top of it, so that way you can use the Golgonda effect. So that's why Vespanado's in the deck. And Vespanado is also, if it does die, then you get to bring something back. So that's why we play in the deck, just as a way to cheat around that, you know, that effect. For generic rank 8s, 1 Dingirsu, because Dingirsu is hella good. And also it can attach one of your banished machine monsters to discard material. So that way, like, let's say you banish Bronga and like Rocky, and then, you know, you hard summon Dingirsu. You can bring back the Bronga or the Rocky, or probably more the Bronga. And that way you can you know, have it back in the grave and you can search again later. So that's why we play the Dingirsu. 1 Hope Harbinger, just because it negates spells. And yeah, just why we play Harbinger. And he's a 3k attacker too. For the fusions, we're going to play 2. Double Sprint the Iron Dash Dragon. We don't fusion summon this deck, so we only use it for its send effect, that during the end phase you can summon a Fallen Albaz, i.e. we don't run Fallen of Albaz, or a Springans monster. You can either add it to your hand or start summon it from the deck. So that's why we just play it. And then 1 Omega, because like during our turn, if we're trying to search something or whatever it is and somebody tries to ash us, if we have Gamma in hand, then we can resolve the Gamma and then we can go into Omega. And then Omega is just a really good card, and you can use it for to put back stuff in the grave, or use it as an annoying monster to get rid of something from your opponent's hand. Maybe hit a Nibiru or something. I don't know, but Omega is just a good card, and there's a reason why it's at 1. But yeah, that is it for the deck profile, you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Springans deck profile. Hopefully we get some more stuff. Obviously we kind of know what's already in Dawn of Majesty, but hopefully in the next set, which is Burst of Destiny, I believe it's called. But it's coming pretty quick, because, you know, Dawn of Majesty comes out August 13th or something like that. Next week, by the time this video comes out, next week Dawn of Majesty comes out. And then we had not even 2 months and Burst of Destiny comes back. Or Burst of Destiny comes out and we get another new set. So there's not a lot of time between these sets, between Lightning Overdrive Dawn of Majesty and Burst of Destiny. So hopefully we get some more extra deck monster for Springans. Maybe another extra deck monster, or another main deck monster. I don't know. Something that can help out more for the Springans. We will see what Konami gives us. But yeah, make sure you guys follow us on our social medias to stay updated with us. Let us know down in the comments what deck profiles you want to see us tackle. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one.